Everybody. Yeah. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Central Texas, where we think more expansively, love more completely, and live more joyously. And thank you to Clark for a wonderful meditation this morning. Thank God for that. All right. All right, and we are here to get started with our theme for 2026, which is Be Love Now. Beloved. Beloved. All right. Let's start by saying our opening affirmation on the top of page 4. And it says, we believe that there is an infinite power and wisdom that creates everything. We are expressions of this same power and wisdom. The thoughts, beliefs, and expectations we entertain with the most energy become our experience of life. When we change our energy and our attention, our experience changes to match. All right. And we would like to say a special happy birthday to our host organization here, the Human Potential Center, and Bob McGarry, who had celebrated 40 years. Yeah, we're coming up. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, no. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, actually it was interesting. I created, so 5 years ago during COVID, I was 70 and the Human Potential Center turned 35. So that was cool, half my life was doing, but that was COVID and we didn't quite have the celebration. Anyway, so yes, welcome everybody to the location of the Human Potential Center. And because Center for Spiritual Living is a member of the Human Potential Center, so are all of you. And that means, I don't think I mentioned, that gives you discounts on workshops and classes, on retail sales, and also access to the creativity code if you're doing creative projects. And additionally, we're just starting, I believe, thing where people who are members of the center can provide things to sell that they've created. So creativity, love, and playfulness. So that's why you'll see Leah's cards back there that she creates and handcrafts, which are pretty awesome. So I just wanted to mention that. And there's also from our community potluck last night. There's some cake back there. So I don't know if you want to restrict the amount of sugar buzz that people are able to have, but if you're at your choice, there's some cake back there from that too. Welcome.
As Bob taught us this morning, cake is optional. But we're all adults here, so if you need to chew on a piece of cake while we're doing what we're doing, that's help yourself. Feel comfortable here. There's no birthdays on our list. Anybody got something going on? All right. All right. Well, happy birthday, Joyce. And today we're celebrating the birth of Oliver Wendell Holmes, great quote master and Supreme Court guy. Alan Hale from Gilligan's Island. Come on, the skipper. Sid Charisse, who was a great dancer, was in Singing in the Rain with Gene Kelly. George Coleman, you may not recognize that name, but he was a sax player with Miles for quite a while. Lynn Redgrave, the actress, and Mickey Dolenz, the monkey. All right. So, the book study group is continuing this Thursday night on Zoom. I'd like to celebrate Al's technology achievement. He is the Zoom Meister now, so otherwise known as. It's good. But you can join in if you do it. The books are in the back. They're $13, but it's a great. We've gone over the intro, but we really are just starting the steps of treatment this coming Thursday. So it's a good way to refresh not just the psychology, but the philosophy of the steps and why they're in the order they're in, and help you build some belief around not just the steps, but your ability to write your own individual steps and individual treatment for whatever you choose to treat about. We'll talk more about that as it goes. I'd like to invite Clark to come up and do an opening reading and treatment.
Thank you, Walt. Today's reading comes from Ernest Holmes' Can We Talk to God? And it's part of a larger work, so I've kind of condensed some things that resonated with me down this. It's a little bit longer than some of our readings, but not that long. And he says, we communicate with each other, individual intelligence to intelligence. Whether the intelligence is finite or infinite, the essence is the same. Intelligence responds by corresponding. Within us, it's nature, by direct impartation of itself through us. This is the meaning of the highest God and the innermost God is the one God. Spirit's nature is to incarnate. The greater our receptivity, the more complete its flow through consciousness. We exist within it, believe in it, use it, and its servant, the law, becomes our servant. This mental state controls our environment. This is what is meant by the practical application of science of mind principles to daily living, and what is meant by demonstration. So thank you to Ernest for those thoughts. And let's take the spirit of those thoughts, the essence, into our consciousness now. Remembering our relationship, not only to consciousness, but to all experience. Knowing that this presence is all pervasive. It is every form. It is vibrating on levels varying and multitudinous, infinite. All knowing, it is our knowing, for we are it, and it us. And by its power and grace, we have our life, our movement, and our being. And we give thanks for this. Because we are the second coming. We are it. Our consciousness is it. Our evolving consciousness is it. So let us wear that mantle, assume this alignment with the law and love, knowing that there is no power other than Spirit, lest we believe there is. So let us know that there's nothing to compete. There's nothing to fight. There's nothing to change except our perspective in alignment. And this is not only salvation, but liberation. Surrendering all that is unlike Spirit and assuming that mantle of responsibility to continue to unfold our consciousness into that which we have been given instruction to be like the great teacher, to be examples of his example. And again, I give thanks for the power in our word, the power of that energy that moves another energy called law in correspondence to the energy that we provide. And it answers word for word and better. And we know this. Let us continue to know it, to not doubt it. There is no doubt in the Spirit. There is no doubt in us, because we are it. So I give thanks for that. And I release this word completely to law, knowing that having been spoken, it is now corresponded to perfectly reliable and consistent as demonstration of effect in our experience. So giving thanks, I release this word completely, and let us say together, and so it is now. Okay, thank you so much. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our musical guest for today, Terry Klein, everybody. Please. Welcome, Terry.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I wrote this song for my friend Dana Michael Anderson. And I was excited to see the theme here today because so many of my songs touch upon it. So there were a lot of good ones to choose from. And this one is called If You Go. Well, my friend gave me a book before he left us, a self-help book he'd picked up from a second-hand store. Said he'd read it halfway through and hadn't liked it. He thought perhaps that I might like it more. Dawn breaks on the Mississippi River on another summer day. My friend won't get to see. It looks so still there on the surface. The trouble lies in wait there just beneath. Yeah, this is for whoever needs to hear it. If it makes a difference, I don't know. Your love, your love, your love. And someone's gonna miss you if you go. I've since read that self-help book my friend gave me, each ever-loving page. This is awful as the next, but I keep it on a shelf where I can see it. It's a blunt force kind of metaphor, I guess. Yeah, this is for whoever needs to hear it. If it makes a difference, I don't know. Your love, your love, your love. Someone's gonna miss you if you go. Someone's gonna miss you if you go. Someone's gonna miss you if you go. Someone's gonna miss you. Thank you.
exciting. No. There's a big buzz on it. Try something else. I don't know that's what it is, but we're gonna take a chance. It's called experimenting with life. I'll just have to be brighter, that's all. All right, did I switch that switch off that I want? Can you check? See if, make sure that, I think I did, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, all right. All right. Well, thank you, Terry. We're trying to figure out technical things as we go, and we can't always, rather than let the whole thing go, we'll try adjusting as we go. But I want to share something that I really discovered about myself this week. I just love going outdoors. Because going out windows can be so inconvenient. All right, this morning we're going to continue our discussion of time. And last week we looked at the origins of our relationship with time, our concept of time, different measures we've used over the years to measure that time. And I subjected you to probably way too many snippets of songs about time and sayings about times, not to torture you, but maybe to torture you just a little. But to show you how deep into our collective consciousness our concept of and our relationship to time really is. It's a big deal because it's a big part of our paradigm of living this life. And how well or how poorly we may decide we utilize the time available to us, it becomes a big part of our identity and what we believe possible or not possible for someone like the person we're describing ourselves to be. I am quite productive. I am quite lazy. I am the same person being productive and lazy at different times of the day. But a lot of our description of our effectiveness with time has to do with our ability to be present and aware enough to keep a healthy perspective on what is ours to do and our creativity with the resources available to us in any given moment. Ralph Waldo Emerson shares with us, the years teach much which the days never know. Gonna get a hell yeah out of that. Hell yeah. All right. And like every other part of our life, our perspective and keeping things in a healthy perspective is a huge, ginormous factor in how well we do in our engagement of all that life is internally offering us, and then how we feel about past, current, and future engagements of all life that is eternally offering to us. Because no matter what is or isn't going according to our preferences, life is eternally offering us more. And I mean way more than we could ever use and possibly engage. So we eventually figure out when we're paying attention that our problems in our life are not supply side oriented, they're engagement side oriented. But the supply side orientation gets a lot more press and a lot more attention and is promoted in very big ways. Promoted in paradigms and beliefs about we've got to get ours before someone else takes it, right? Or the whole list of other limited ideas that get in the way of us and get us competing with each other rather than cooperating with each other. Now, perspective isn't only relegated to waxing philosophical in our old age, although I will note that as I get older, I tend to wax more philosophical about stuff, right? And time does seem to be passing faster and faster as the years go by, because the allocation of time that I call a year, that we label as a year, becomes a smaller and smaller fraction of my life and of my time experience as I collectively and string more years together. John Paul Friedrich Richter shares with us, the more sand that has escaped from the hourglass of our life, the clearer we should see through it. Yeah. Now I want you to consider two portions of time. The title of the talk today is 100 years from now, right? 100 years from now, that's one block of time, and a quadrillionth of a second, another portion of time. What is a quadrillionth of a second? That's how long it takes for quantum entanglement, is what they're telling us now. I don't know about you, but that's not a quadrillionth of a second. Quadrillion is a 1 followed by 18 zeros, so a quadrillionth of a second would be a period followed by 18 zeros and then a 1. Right? A little faster than a blink of an eye, a lot faster than all the time it took me to tell you what the quadrillionth was. Right? But once entangled, we are always entangled. So a good review of the past, a healthy assessment of the present, and a healthy excitement of what's still to come, that always serves us. Keeping all that in perspective helps us be more present and more aware. And it helps us bring the best of ourselves to whomever and whatever is before us, and helps us move forward with a joyful enthusiasm. And when we have this review of present, past, and future, I think it's easy to sometimes fall into the paradigm that the best of times are behind us. Or it's also easy to think that things will only get better later on when we figure more stuff out. Yeah, things will get better later on when we figure stuff out, but that's not the only time that good's available to us. Things get better when we get better. That's the bottom line. When we get better at everything the way we get better at everything, which is by paying more attention to what works and what doesn't. Paying more attention to what we do that gets it right and what we do that misses the mark. And this is important for us both individually, but it's also important for us collectively. That's why I'm encouraging you today or this week, to really consider the importance of what we're considering important now through the lens of what will still be important 100 years from now. Look, man, so much of what we fret over, what we fight over, what we divide ourselves over is really quite insignificant when you stop and consider it. Other things will come along that will become more or less significant through the benefit of time and perspective and experience. I want you to think about these things that were important 100 years ago in 1926. 1926 was 100 years. The Roaring Twenties fostered a sense of optimism and economic prosperity in the U.S. Traditional gender roles were challenged by women gaining the independence and rights to vote after suffrage. The belief in progress and modernity was strong and influenced by technical achievements and urbanization. And many people held a fascination with the arts, and particularly jazz and the Harlem Renaissance. There was a growing interest in science and rational thought that often clashed with traditional religious beliefs. Things like took place like the Scopes monkey trial. You all remember that, right? And the fear of communism and radicalism was prevalent, leading to the Red Scare and social tensions. Now you listen to that list and you think, boy, a lot of that is still relevant. We're still chewing on it, right? It sounds weirdly familiar. And then some of it you go, why was that ever a thing? Why did we ever waste energy on that? But a lot of it was quite a big deal because it was quite a separation from the way things were and the way things had been for quite a while. And the same thing is going to be true 100 years from now when people then look back on the year 2026. What were they thinking, right? What we're focusing upon and what we're experiencing and what we're trying to transcend and evolve beyond. I think it's safe to say that none of us here this morning, and most of anybody watching later on, will be here to explain why we chose what we chose in 2026. But the observation of changes and shifts will be self-evident based upon the choices we make here and now. Because whatever is at the top of our attention seems to be the most relevant and important things of the day. But everything gets into perspective as with the passing of time and the shifting of our attention to something else. We move on to the next thing, and then we move on to the next thing. And then that seems important. When it seems like all hope is lost for further progress, and I have caught myself buying into that paradigm here and again recently. Have to remind ourselves and remind each other that progress is still being made. It is. Perchance not as quickly as we would like it to be made, but progress is a process, and the shift in results is inevitable. Why? Because of law of cause and effect. Why? Because life responds to whatever we're giving it to work with now. And the genie's not going back in the bottle and the toothpaste is out of the proverbial tube. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that we can take our foot off the gas and just coast the rest of the way, but we can take some or a lot more of that energy that we've directed it and attention we've been given to consternation and gnashing our teeth and redirect that towards making just simple positive changes in our own experience and what we're contributing to the collective mix. Because I'm telling you, there are plenty more people around that are doing the exact same thing in their own lives and in their own ways. The shift has started, and no matter who and no matter what wants to resist it or stop it, it's not going back. It doesn't, because that's not the way life appears to work. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, shares what we call time elapses, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year. But in spirit, there is no time. Spirit is timeless. Therefore, the mental and spiritual practitioner must not deal with time. He must transcend time. Okay? Think about our imagination and how much of that is flavored with the future equating to the passing of time in order for good to arrive. Because it's a factor in that. Now, just about every civilization all over the planet has in some way or another created their own version of a calendar to measure time. It wasn't always the Sunday to Saturday that we see on our, like the Center's calendar back there in the back. Not always oriented that way. But how many of you just love daylight saving time? Which happened today. Not so much this time of year when it takes an hour away from us, but in the fall it's nice to go, oh, I've got time. Have your back, right? Dig this. What if you woke up tomorrow and they said, oh, by the way, we're taking 10 days away from you. 10 days? What? Much bigger deal. That's exactly what happened in 1582 when we started shifting from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar. Right? 10 days taken overnight, just like that. And, of course, communication wasn't all that back in 1582, as we can imagine. And the word didn't get out to everybody all at once. Some countries like Turkey and Russia waited until the early 1900s to switch, and they had to take 13 days away from their people. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, charged up just to say exupery, says it's the time you've wasted for your rose that makes your rose so important. Because we're investing the time into something, whether it's an idea, a plant, the gardening of a plant, the care of something, nurturing the care of something or someone. We assign meaning and significance to each moment, and we assign some moments more meaning than other moments. The more meaningful something is, the easier and more frequently it will be remembered and recalled, and the more impact it's going to have on our decision making in this moment. I shared this in class on Thursday night, or it's not class, it's book study, whatever. Thursday night. And this week while I was doing my day trading, I made a mistake. And it obviously did not end me, and it didn't end my ability to trade, but it was detrimental to my profit and loss statement, which I didn't like. I didn't like it. And the ego really didn't like it. Definitely not a fan. And it's not that this is the first time it's ever happened. It's happened before. And as I said, it will probably happen again. Okay? But I swear I'll never do that again. Right? But I've learned that it's like a lot of other things in my life. sometimes I have to get to an experience or a level of discomfort in order for me to pay enough attention to start doing or stop doing certain things. Anybody else relate to that one? Okay. And the increased pain makes it more important to me, or it makes it more relevant or more prevalent in my attention, and then I pay a little bit more attention to it as I might notice it starting to approach or notice myself in the middle of it again. But the real question that I noticed in my observation of me was that how long am I going to carry that afterwards, after it's done? Can't undo it. The loss happened, right? But how long am I going to carry it with me? Obviously through Sunday morning. How long am I going to keep beating myself up about it? I've gotten better about that. Okay, so, but continuing to focus on it after it happens, even long after it happens, just keeps it in the way of being present and making better decisions and better, more intelligent, necessary adjustments here and now. But it's the same as we live our life. We have something happen to us, and we keep bringing it back up and keep bringing it into the present moment, and it's all it's doing is getting in the way of making better decisions now. Dr. Holmes goes on, he says, subjective mind knows only completion, the answer. Cosmic creation is from idea to object. The growth of thought into experience may take time to mature. Correct practice should know that the ultimate right action is now, today. See, life and law work the way they work without the consideration of time. So this week, when you notice yourself introducing time into your descriptions and your consideration, your analysis of the likelihood of your success, whatever's before you and whatever's coming to your attention, start listening to that conversation going on between you and you. Because what's your longest running diatribe or conversation in your life? Conversation we have with ourselves, right? Between me and me in my life and between you and you in your life. Start eavesdropping on what's being said. Observe it objectively, meaning without judging what it is or what it isn't, without labeling it as, well, that's not very spiritually enlightened, or it's not, or it is. How willing would you be to share that dialogue with people that you really care about? He thinks, what? Because at some point, and I will promote at some point in every single day, there will be a time consideration, and time will be a factor in our interpretation and our enthusiasm about our past, our present, and our future. Sometimes I find myself rationalizing that, oh man, I got all the time in the world for that thing. It's not due till Friday. It's not even due till next month even for some things. And then shortly after, considering that exact same thing, I can go, oh my God, it's due on Friday. It's due next month, depending on the size and the scope of the project. And either way, the time is going to pass. And our lives will be experienced at the level of our awareness and understanding, always. And what we perceive possible from here, both this current expression and what we believe possible next, what we believe possible will be determined by our ability to imagine. Our perceptions of what's available, what time, energy, and attention and resources, and our level of motivation to get started and to keep going. The real question is the quality of our mental activity before, during, and after our decision to go. That quality of mental activity can be inspiring. We can be excited about something. We can invite others to join the fun. It can be demoralizing. You can figure there's no way this can ever happen. Or a lot of times it's kind of a mixture of both of those, right? Or vacillation between them. The main point when we get on the limited side of things, limited belief side of things, is to remind ourselves that most of what we're focusing upon, most of what we're fretting about, won't really matter in the grander scheme of things with the passing of not all that much time. The Earl of Chesterfield, who smoked a lot, I guess, said I recommend you take care of the minutes, and the hours will take care of themselves. Hell yeah. We can't change the past. We can't. Okay? All we can do is intelligently keep the data gathered into a healthy perspective and apply that knowledge gained in the most intelligent ways possible here and now. Because believe me, all of that is what Tom brought up this morning. He said all of that relates to all of this. Okay? And it relates into what's still to come in way more ways than we tend to think it relates to it. We can't really control the future either. All we can do is intelligently engage to the present as mindfully, compassionately, and lovingly as we can with what we currently know, understand, and can imagine. For when we take care of this moment the best we can, it's easier for us to appreciate this moment and release it with joy, feel it it's completed, and put it in the past. It's easier for us to be more present and aware and bring the best of ourselves to whoever and whatever is before us in this moment. And it's easier for us to build a meaningful life by living meaningful moments and stringing those pearls together to make the most beautiful necklace to shine out for ourselves and everyone else around us. And so it is now. All right. Thank you very, very much. Let's look at our weekly affirmation, which is on the top of page 6, also on the little cards in the back. And say this together. It says, I have this time and this opportunity to engage life in a more meaningful way. As I focus on this here now and invest my best, the moment builds and continues and flows from this to that more smoothly. I take care of now and open to all the good I find as a result of this focus. All right. So let's take a moment, just give ourselves the gift of our good attention. Let's take a moment to maybe take a breath or close our eyes or reposition our physical form. Just allow ourselves to be in this moment what we are in every other moment. Perfect, whole, complete, dynamic, loving centers of the individualization of spirit on this plane of action, recognizing the greater good that is available to us because we are it. And as we spend more time recognizing it around us, we start to feel that resonance of that greater good within us. It helps us become more present and more aware. It helps us understand more about ourselves and each other and the living of this life in the most loving, compassionate ways possible. We start to gain a perspective about what really is important, what is ours to do, what else is possible by means of what we are, who we are, what we've been through, what we bring to this life and promote in the ways that we can do it individually. We start to engage life in a more meaningful way because it becomes not just a good, holy habit, but it becomes a way for us to contribute the best of ourselves to everyone around us in more meaningful ways and connect at deeper levels than ever before. We start taking care of this moment now, recognizing that that is where our life is lived, here and now. And as we do this, we realize that taking care of one moment leads us to take greater care of ourselves and greater care of those around us in the next moment. And that feeds upon itself and continues for as long as we choose to continue. It builds and it continues to flow from this to that, from here to there, from now to then, more smoothly than ever before. We open to the good that we start to find around us. We open to the good that we start to find within those around us, and we open to the good that we start to find within us. And we find creative ways to combine all that in love and joy and beauty and peace. We love this wonderful teaching and all the ways it shows up in our lives to remind us of the greater spiritual truths of life and spiritual tools we can use to direct those principles. Loving this community of like-minded individuals that get to love and support each other throughout the week through our activities, and loving this wonderful life and this beautiful time together this morning, this beautiful city, and all the good that comes to our attention as a result. We release this completely with deep joy and gratitude, knowing that the law has already begun responding to it by bringing greater good to our attention in tangible ways, and opportunities and ideas, possibilities, and experiences that help us grow and expand and move deeper and more meaningfully into this moment and into the next and the next. Loving it all, we release it with deep joy and say together, and so it is now. All right. All right. And now we come to the time where we take support this wonderful work we're doing together. We take the value we receive from the world, the value we bring to the world, and pass this along with love. As we do this, we will say our giving affirmation in the middle of page 6 together. And it says, divine love consecrates my gifts. They go forth to heal, to bless, and to prosper. They are evidence of my commitment. They do their good and perfect work and return to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is now. All right. And now Terry's going to come up and do a couple more songs for us. Are you playing anywhere we can come and see you? Ah.
Showcase is Karen Mall, Joel McCall, Brian Wolfstedt and Prigmore, a duo, a wonderful duo called Girl Haggard. Fantastic. I'll play. Jim Patton and Sherry Brokus will play, and they're a wonderful artist that I discovered last year who performs under the name Showcase. Lots of stuff going on. Next Sunday from 1 to 5. I'm gonna start with a song that I don't know if I've ever played live. I was on tour with my dear friend Jackson Emmer in California 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, I lost track of, it was at some point in the recent past, and we drove the length of California together, and we have written about 15 songs together, I think, and recorded them, and all that sort of stuff, and we're thinking back to the first one that we got that we both really liked, and I was searching for it in my phone, and I found it, and we listened to it, and I looked at the lyrics, and we were both like, this is good, why don't we play this? And then I saw the theme for today's talk, and I was like, all right, well, I guess I am going to play this. It's called Before It's Gone. There's a little hat tip to Leon Payne, who went to school at the Texas School for the Blind many, many, many years ago. Okay, let's try it. Lost Highway, no, that was Leon Payne. Hank cut that track to acetate at the old Hotel Tulane. If you're looking for the Tulane, well, you can look all you want. It Sears shut its doors in 58. They put up a parking lot. These might be the good old days for all we know. Make the most of every day before it's gone, before it's gone. The old armadillo in 78704 XTC and Joey Lee, those lines stretched out the door. If you're looking for the Dillo, down in Austin town, they sold the land 40 years ago and tore that sucker down. These might be the good old days for all we know. Make the most of every day before it's gone, before it's gone. You can miss the moment, dishing out the blame. They can bring back CBGBs, but it won't be the same. These might be the good old days for all we know. Make the most of every day before it's gone, before it's gone. Thanks. Thanks so much. Let's see. There's always been something that I've been attracted to about the old images of St. Francis up in the mountains, and the story of St. Francis, and I was playing my mandolin and started playing the notes that would become the opening riff of this tune, and for some reason it led me to him, and to me, and to everything. And this is the first track on my new album that came out in November, which is called Hill Country Folk Music, and it's called Try. It's also the last track on the record because I recorded two versions and I couldn't figure out which one was better. All right, thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Walt, for inviting me. Thank you, Terry, for having me. And it's always lovely to see all of you. Went up on the mountain to pray. There I met an old farmer with a wild-eyed cur. He said, "Son, let me show you the way." Picked me up a path that was cut from stone. The cur stuck close by his side. Night fell hard, the world went dark. Worried that the farmer had lied. Then I heard the song of the river and the stars that filled the sky. I suppose I might do better. Least I could do was try. Least I could do was try. The farmer lit a fire, the cur laid down. We sat there quiet for a while. Then the farmer asked what had led me here to walk these rough, rocky miles. I told him that I kinda lost my way last year, and walking was all I could think to do. He said, son, we're all lost if we know it or not, which it seemed to me was true. Yes, I heard the song of the river and the stars that filled the sky. I suppose I might do better. Least I could do is try. Least I could do is try. I woke up in the morning and I looked around. The cur and the farmer were gone. So I headed off the mountain, boys, yes I did. Keep on keeping on. Yes, I'd heard the song of the river and the stars that filled the sky. I suppose I might do better. Least I could do was try. 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 Thanks again so much for having me. No, because it's just, it was in Houston. There were 2 days. There were, it's basically been Houston and Austin both days. There's people playing Houston today, he played Austin yesterday. Yes, so thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right. All right. So I noticed something come up for me this week. Thinking when I started thinking about Iran, because you can't not think about Iran. But I remember when I was starting college, and there was a hostage crisis and the oil embargo. But I remember how quickly people lumped everybody together. That all Iranians, or pretty much any Middle Eastern people, got into the enemy category. And it was like, really? And the problem is that unless you can inspect somebody's passport, you don't know where they're from, just by the way they look or the way what their name sounds like. And some people look similar that aren't anywhere close to being on the same continent as Iran is. And then you had the person that shot up downtown, and all those people wasn't from Iran. You know, it had nothing to do with it. And the truth is, 99.99% of the people that are Iranian have nothing to do with the way their government's been behaving over the last 47 years. So I haven't heard as much stereotyping about that this time, but I have to recognize I live in Austin, and there's some insulation, I think, for that consideration. but I think people just, it's an awareness, it's helpful for me to remember then how people behaved and how limited that scope was, and how we tend to associate everybody in a group, no matter what the group is that we label it, from the behaviors of even an individual or a small segment of that group. We still have been afforded the opportunity to interpret somebody's personal behavior instead of the way they look, which is what MLK was inviting us to do all those decades ago. So just keep a healthy perspective of stuff, and remember that we've learned and evolved a lot of things since then, and we don't have to go back and repeat the past unless we choose to do so. So that change and benefit will help us. And one other thing. All right, so now let's take a moment of gratitude. I'm grateful that we have evolved beyond what we used to be like, and that we can, but if you start to hear that, just offer people the opportunity that there's another place. And again, I'm grateful for springtime and all the good the beauty that's flowing forth through that. So somebody else has a moment of gratitude to share? Nobody's grateful for anything. Clark's always grateful for something.
Yeah, I mean, we've been fostering my daughter. She's just a blessing. Wonderful, fun to be with. Despite the first introduction we had, but now we're best buddies. I'm just grateful for change and my change in perspective, not letting that first experience be the definition of the whole thing, because I knew my culpability. Being able to identify that and to gain the trust beyond that is something that I was grateful for then. I remain grateful for it now.
You got that. And speaking of the best dog in the world, there she is. We were fortunate enough to get to put our Tiger Lily's picture on a tote bag. Yes. Well, and you have, I think you have found a channel through which you can express that love that you are, into the intangible ways to other people, and it's very beneficial. Well, thank you for recognizing it and engaging it and reminding yourself to return to it, and that it's here, that we're here, and that we do focus on beneficial things. We try to. Well, cool. We thank God for that. All right. Where there was a thing. Oh, here. All right. Opportunity for application in your life. When you're really when you're really tangled up with something, ask yourself, how much will this matter in a few months or 100 years? Keeping a good perspective on the meaning of things is being wise with our resources and leaves time for what matters most. Next week, we will conclude the time series. It's about time. Haha, see what I did there? We're going to talk about Nevermind, and it's our musician will be Lisa Clark, and other people coming. Thursday night, we'll do the book study. I would like to invite y'all to take a gander at the March calendar back on the back table for the Human Potential Center. This is all their activities, and as Bob said, because we're a member, then you're a member, and you can come check these things out. And we are part of our agreement with the center is that we will collectively, between all of us, donate or participate in 3 hours of activities here. Something that it can be on this list, it can be on something else, if you are so inclined. But there's also a list of volunteer opportunities here. It's off the website, but it gives you ideas of ways you can participate around here. And all I ask is if you do something, let us know so we can make sure we're meeting our agreement with the center. So do that. And I know that's a little unique than other places we've been, but this place is unique. We'll enjoy it. We'll celebrate the uniqueness. And there's a wide variety of stuff when you start looking at it, and if you look at it and you aren't clear on what it is, there's a thing called a phone. You can call people or email or whatever. So, and most of it's pretty self-explanatory, but just enjoy that. All right, so let's look at our closing affirmation, which is in the middle of page 7, and say this together as we get ready to enthusiastically go and continue the good energy we've got going here. All right, and it says, I am an expression of infinite, divine, creative intelligence. Knowing a joyful serenity awaits my recognition and acceptance, I take this moment to deepen my understanding that I am perfect, whole, complete, and dynamic. My soul is forever established in life, love, light, power, peace, beauty, and joy. I lift my eyes to the divine in me, in those around me, and in all of life. I walk out into the world with an uplifted heart and a mind open to the infinite creativity of all life, and so it is now. All right, thank you very, very much, and we will see you next time.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay.
sure enjoyed that song. Folk music, yeah.